Welcome to Veggies and Herbs. My name is Ruben Malale. Now winter is coming, and for the gardeners in the Southern Africa region, this is a perfect time to grow some cool season crops. So in this video, I will share with you my 10 favorite cool season crops. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now broccoli is a cool season crop that produces a cluster of edible flowers. Some varieties produce a single head. So you can start them off indoors in seed trays and then later transplant it into your garden. Broccoli is actually easy to grow, and the days to maturity is 60 to 70 days. It requires fertile soil, and also it requires constant moisture. So when you harvest it, you can just cut the head of the broccoli. I planted a broccoli in the late summer, and I experienced some pest pressure, but I managed to get a beautiful broccoli head. The next crop will be cauliflower. Broccoli is also a cool season crop. It requires also fertile soil. The cauliflower produces beautiful florets, and in order to ensure that it does not discolor, it is advisable at the later stage to blanch your cauliflower. But last year I had quite a good cauliflower harvest, so you can check out that video on how to grow cauliflower. But cauliflower is definitely one of the crops that you can grow during the winter season. The next crop also belongs to the Brassicas family, and that is cabbage. Now cabbage is a lovely crop to grow. It does very well during the cool season. It can even take frost, and that just improves the flavor of your cabbage. So I start mine normally off in seed trays and then transplant it into my garden. It can get affected by pests like the aphids as well as the caterpillar, but it is very easy crop to grow, and it's definitely something that I am planning to plant during the winter season. Now onions is a staple in many households, and it's not only useful in the kitchen, but it can also be very useful in your garden because it can serve as a pest repellent. So I'm planning to plant some of my spring onions with some brassicas to ensure that I deter some of the pests that can affect my brassicas. But spring onion is definitely something that you should consider growing during the winter season. I start mine off indoors, grow them in clusters, and when you harvest them, you can then harvest them as a bunch. But onions are definitely some of the crops that I will be interplanting with my brassica plants. Now let's look at some root crops that can be grown during the winter season. Carrots is definitely one of those crops that you must grow during the winter season. One of the complexities or difficulty with carrots is that it can take so long to germinate, but since we receive our rain during the winter season in Cape Town, I find it much more easier for me to grow my carrots during the winter season. So it can take up to 60 to 80 days to be ready, but you can actually harvest the baby carrots at a much earlier date. It does not do well to be transplanted, so it's advisable that you sow your carrot directly into the soil and then enjoy lovely sweet carrots. Another root crop will then be beetroot. Now beetroot come in different colors. I also did a video where I showed you how I grow my beetroot, but beetroot is a clustered crop, so if you plant one seed, multiple seedlings will emerge. Unlike the carrots, beetroot can definitely be transplanted, so I prefer to start mine off indoors and then transplant it. If you want to see how I grow my beetroot, check in the description the link of how I grow my beetroot. But beetroot is definitely a crop that can also be grown during the winter season. So let's look at some leafy greens that you can grow. So Swiss chard is definitely one of my favorites. It is very similar to spinach. So I start mine off indoors in seed trays and then transplant it into the garden. There are quite a number of varieties with different colors. And when you harvest your Swiss chard, it's important that you just twist the outer leaves of the crop. It's a beautiful cut and come again crop that you can grow throughout the winter and even late into the summer period. Another leafy green will then be kale. Now kale is on the top chart of nutritional vegetables. It comes with different shades of green. It is a perfect crop to grow actually during the winter season, as it can also be able to handle frost conditions. Now, peas is also an ideal crop for a home gardener. The only drawback is that if you have a small space, you will need to plant a number of plants to ensure that you get a proper harvest. But peas are easy to grow. Since it's a tender crop, it's important that you sow them directly into your soil. For the climbing variety, it's important that you provide a trellis or some structure so that it can climb. So I'm planning to, after I've harvested some of my beans, is to use that structure to grow my peas. But peas is definitely a cool season crop that is very tasty, and it can be able to handle some frost. And finally, last but not least, it is broad beans. So since the runner beans enjoy warm temperatures, broad beans prefer cooler temperatures, so I start mine off in newspaper pots to ensure that I reduce the transplant shock. I'm planning to grow them throughout the winter. They can get up to 1.5 meters tall, and once the pods are ready to be harvested, you can then harvest the broad beans. But these are some of the crops that I'm planning to grow during the cool season. In the next video, I'm hoping to share with you things to consider when you are growing a winter garden. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see the notification. Another crop that I have not mentioned that is definitely great to be grown during the winter season is the garlic. So click on the screen and check out a guide on growing great garlic in South Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. Cheers.